Hey everybody, what's up? Before I get started, I would like to say that my allergies have been kicking my ass for a few weeks now, so I'm apologizing for if my voice seems off, if I have to go sneeze, or if I have to go hock a loogie or something. You know why, so I'm getting that out of the way in advance. Despite the way I've been feeling, I went to see It finally yesterday, the motion picture debut of the motion picture adaptation of the Stephen King novel from 1986, I believe. Um, I I first read it when I was a child. It was the first Stephen King book I ever read. I've read it a few times, and I love this book. It's it's a masterpiece. It's probably the best horror novel ever written, in my opinion. Um, I don't know if Stephen King has better stuff, he might have better stuff. I mean, I've read all of Stephen King, but The Stand might be better. I don't know, but that's not like a horror novel like this is. So, yeah, I went to see it yesterday. Been getting all the hype, hearing how good it is. Some people saying how bad it is. Some people saying, I don't want to see it because Tim Curry, and the original miniseries. And I went to see it yesterday, and I really, really wanted to love this movie, and I did. It was so good. Um, just so everyone knows, I'm not a fan of the original miniseries. I saw it when it first aired, and there's aspects to it that aren't bad. Most of the kids are pretty good in it. The kid who plays Bill in the original, I keep saying the original. It's not the original. It's a TV miniseries, and this one is a movie. So it's not the original, but the kid who played Bill, I forget his name, Brandon something, in the miniseries, he ended up killing himself, and that's really sad. But I thought he was really annoying in the original miniseries. No disrespect for the dad, but I I didn't like him in that. But most of the other kids were pretty good. The kid who played Ben was really good, and they were good. Obviously, what's his face that plays Richie in the miniseries. I have this thing where I forget. I know people's names. I fucking forget them when I'm on camera. But yeah, that guy who does Robot Chicken was on Buffy the Vampire Slayer and voices Chris on Family Guy. Him. He was good too. But Tim Curry as Pennywise, I'm not gonna say he was bad, but I mean it's not his fault, I guess. The way they wrote the character, he didn't really do anything. He just kind of stood around with balloons and told kids they were gonna float. And that was basically all he did. He would he would get with the kids one on one and do something scary, I guess, and then just let them go. I mean, in the book, Pennywise is trying to kill the kids. He's trying to eat the kids, and you think he's trying to kill the kids in the miniseries, but he's not. He doesn't really try to kill them at all, and that bothered me. And then the second part, everyone talks about this. The second part with the adults is just cringe-worthy acting in that. It's so bad. I think it was Richard Thomas who played Bill. Oh, he sucked. He sucks so bad. Annette O'Toole is Beverly, and I like Annette O'Toole. I like her from Smallville and other stuff she's been in. Superman 3, not a good movie, but she was pretty good in that. Yeah, not good. It was just bad. It's not. I wonder how people found it scary. It's just not scary at all. I didn't even think it was scary back then. If you read the book, you can't think that is scary. It's just not. And people stick to that, man. They're like, it's the best. I don't want. There shouldn't be another adaptation of this. You can't beat Tim Curry as Pennywise, but you can. So I saw this movie. It wasn't a perfect movie. No movies are perfect, but I loved it. I've been waiting for a new adaptation of this forever, for an actual adaptation of this. Of course, they changed some stuff, but it was stuff that didn't bother me. It was stuff that served the movie, served to make it a theatrical thing, a 3-act kind of movie, and I didn't have a problem with the changes. Um, the opening scene with Georgie, and spoilers, there's going to be spoilers, just so you know. The opening scene with Georgie was so well done. Bill Skarsgård is creepy as fuck as Pennywise. He is so scary. I know there's people that don't agree with me. They'll stick to Tim Curry, but Bill Skarsgård, brother of the True Blood Skarsgård guy, and son to Stellan Skarsgård. He's in Stellan Skarsgård's in a lot of stuff. I forgot the character his brother plays in True Blood because I hate True Blood. But yeah, Bill Skarsgård. I liked him in. Here we go again, forgetting the fucking name of the show he was on Netflix. He was really good in that show. Even the show wasn't that great. So I liked him. He was great as Pennywise, in my opinion. His eyes were terrifying. He did things with his eyes that were fucking creepy as hell. And the scene with Georgie in the sewer at the beginning, I didn't expect that. I don't think anyone expected how brutal that scene was going to be. And he ripped his arm off like he did in the book. Now, there's a difference in what happens in that scene from the book to this movie. Georgie is found in the book. Like, right after it happens, his arm's ripped off and he's found and they know he's dead. In the movie, he gets his arm ripped off, he tries to crawl away and Pennywise grabs him and pulls him in. So, people don't know what happened to him. So, that was a difference, but I didn't mind it. The kids in this movie were just great. Like Stranger Things great. Especially Finn Wolfhard, ironically from Stranger Things. He got cast as Richie Tozer, Trash Mouth, and when I first heard about that, I was like, he's cast as Richie? That doesn't seem right. I was thinking, based on his character and the way he is in Stranger Things, I was thinking more of like an Eddie. But they cast him as Richie. I thought it was kind of weird, but he nails it. He's so hilarious. All his dick jokes and his... It's another thing. They talk like kids in this, like Stranger Things. They talk like kids talked back then. I was a kid, and I know it's hard to believe. And I talk like that. I swore. I still swear. But I swore a lot more when I was a fucking kid. I said fuck all the time when I was a kid. And that... People... And they put kids in movies these days, and it's not how they are. And this is how they are. And Finn Wolfhard, great as Richie. Jaden Lieberher. I don't know how you pronounce his last name. I apologize for pronouncing it wrong if I did. He plays Stuttering Bill. And I'm not putting down people who stutter. That's what they call him. That's what they call him in the book. That's what his friends call him. Jeremy Ray Taylor plays Ben Hanscom. He's great. He's really good at it. I liked him a lot. Sophia Lillis, who plays Beverly, might be the best out of all of them. She plays that character so well. I think this girl's going to be a really big actress. She knows what she's doing. And it's great. I appreciated the fact that they had Patrick Hockstetter in this version. He's in the book. He is a sick son of a bitch in the book. There's a part where they get into his past. He's a child and he smothers his little baby brother to death. He has a refrigerator. There's a dump area in Derry, and he has a refrigerator there, and he kidnaps people's pets, and he puts them in the refrigerator alive. and just like starves them out and likes to watch them die, and it's really sick. And yeah, Pennywise ends up getting him in the book. He opens the fridge one time to look at the animals, and there's a bunch of leeches in there, and they all attack him. And it's really brutal, and one gets in his mouth and gorges itself on blood so much that it explodes in his mouth. They didn't have any of that in the movie. They didn't have any of that in the movie, which it wasn't surprising to me. But they did have the character in the movie as one of the bullies. I appreciated that. He was he wasn't like a really important part of the book, but he was a very memorable part, and I'm glad he was in there, along with Henry Bowers and Belch Huggins and Victor Criss, the usual bullies. Trying to think of some more of the changes. Yeah, in this version, Ben is the one that is into all the history of Derry, and in the book, and the miniseries, it's Mike Hanlon who's into all that. And in the book and the miniseries, he's the one that ends up calling all the others when Pennywise comes back as adults. He's the one that ends up calling them, bringing them all back, reminding them of their promise to come back. And I'm wondering if in the second one, because they're doing a sequel to this one, if it's going to be Ben doing that. But then again, it shows Ben early in the movie with the diorama. And in the book and the miniseries, Ben becomes a architect. So I don't know what's going on because they have the diorama. So it suggests maybe he becomes an architect too in the movies. But he's into all the history of Derry. So I'm wondering if he's going to be the one that stays there and calls them all back instead of Mike Hanlon. I don't know. But I'm looking forward to finding out. What else did they change? I know they changed some other stuff. I don't remember the floating kids from the book, but that was a nice touch. Gave meaning to the "you'll all float." I mean, he always said that, but no one ever really knew what it meant. It kind of didn't make any sense, but he always said that all the time. And they still had Henry Bowers trying to carve his name into Ben's stomach. It was still as bad as it was before. Like, not bad as in bad, but bad as in fucked up. And I'm sorry, some more of the things that changed will come to me in time. But the guy who played Henry Bowers, he was good with his mullet. Like I said, I like the kid who played Patrick Hockstetter. He was sufficiently creepy. Belch Huggins and Victor Criss were in there, but didn't do much. But that's fine. Another change they made, Henry Bowers' father was a cop in this one. And I forgot what he did in the book, but he wasn't a cop. But he got killed. Henry killed him the same way as they did in the book, which was cool. And I'm trying to think here. Eddie was good too. I liked Eddie. I liked how his mom was fat. Her mom was really fat. His mom was really fat in the book, but in the miniseries they made her skinny, which I thought was weird. But all around, the kids in this movie were great. I don't know where they're finding these kids. Even Georgie. It's hard to make a little kid really scary. And when Bill goes into the basement and sees Georgie, and he's just like yelling at him about how he'll float, and it's so fucking scary. That kid is so scary. And I have been watching horror movies since I was like 8 years old. I am so jaded with horror movies. The shit doesn't scare me anymore, and it's a shame. Like, people were telling me, watch The Babadook, it's really scary. I was like, I guess. But there's some scenes in there that really did scare me, and the scene, I'm glad they had the house on Neibolt Street, and they didn't have him as a werewolf, but they go into the house to fight him, and when he comes out of that fridge and like unfolds himself and comes at the kids, and it's so damn scary. The teeth on on fucking Pennywise, and God, I can't say enough how scary he was. How impressed I was with that. No disrespect for Tim Curry, but this is better. It's better. And if you don't think that, I'm not gonna say you're wrong, but I think you aren't looking at it properly. But yeah, this movie was in development hell for a long time, and it was originally attached to Cary Fukunaga, who did the first season of True Detective. I don't know if you saw that, but it was really good, and I'm kind of interested to see how it would have been if he had kept doing it. The whole atmosphere on the first season of True Detective was just, you could feel it, it's just, it would have been really interesting to see his version of this movie. I know he was going to have Will Poulter play Pennywise, but that didn't end up happening. I guess there's a lot of people up for the role. Ben Mendelsohn was up for the role. The guy who plays Krennic in Rogue One. That would have been weird. Tilda Swinton would have been interesting to see a female one, I guess. And there was some other name I don't remember, but the show Bill Skarsgård was in, Netflix, Hemlock Grove. It's very confusing, but I do like the show. But like I said, Andy Muschietti ended up directing this movie, and it's so good. I'm really so happy they made a good version of this. Despite all the changes, it still has the feeling that you need for this movie. That feeling of dread you get when you're reading the story, and the whole time you're just like, I know something's going to happen, something fucked up's going to happen. That's the feeling you get when you're watching this movie, and that's exactly what we needed out of this movie. The scene where Beverly's in the bathroom and all the blood comes up and the blood goes everywhere, it's all over her. I thought that was done really well. And if her father didn't see it and the kids saw it and they cleaned it, I love how they did that. And the father was really good too. Her father is a fucking asshole. He sexually abuses her. They didn't get graphic in the movie about it, but I think they made it so you can assume that was what was happening, and I think that was enough. The R rating, they went all for it with the R rating. I probably wouldn't have even gone to see it if it wasn't an R rating. You just can't do it effectively as PG or even PG-13. Just can't do it. And the R rating served it well. I'm trying to think I know there's something else I wanted to mention, but yeah, good movie. Really good movie. Can't wait for it to come out on Blu-ray. I'll probably go see it again. And I'm just hoping when they do the second one, they get some good adults to play these kids, because these kids were just great. And it's harder. I think it'll be harder to make such a good movie with the adults. But I'm guessing they'll have flashbacks in that one to when they're kids too. So maybe they'll get these kids come back to do that, or maybe if they're smart, they'd film the flashback scenes like now, so they look how they look now. But I don't know if they're going to do that. I don't know what's going to go on with the second one. I don't know when it's come out. I'd like to come out next year. It's not, but I'm sure it's going to be at least 2019 until it comes out. But overall, great adaptation of a great Stephen King book. They changed some things to make it more. I forgot to mention the biggest fucking change in the whole fucking thing is in the book and the miniseries, the thing with the kids takes place in the 50s. Now, they changed it so they're kids in the 80s, which I think was really smart, because that way when you do the movie with the adults, it's modern day, you know what I mean? And, I figure, in the 80s when the book was written, the 50s were 30 years ago. And now they're doing the movie, and the 80s are 30 years ago. So it makes sense to me to do that. I'm glad that they did that. And, there's a whole 80s nostalgia thing going on now anyway, with Stranger Things being so huge. And rightfully so. But, yeah. I love what they did with this movie. Looking forward to the second one. Can't wait to hear who they get to play, who they're going to cast. I hope they keep the same director. And I don't know how they're going to do it with the adults, because they make the adults look like pieces of shit in this movie. They just ignore what's going on. They just don't give a shit. And that's the way it's supposed to be. It's how it is in the book. And I don't know. I really like this movie. Well, really creepy, really scary. And that's coming from somebody who's not scared easily at all. So, check it out. Check it out. But really, if you're interested in seeing the movie, read the book. The book is so great. Either before you see the movie or after you see the movie. It's a big book. It's like 1,100 pages, but it's so worth it. And people should read more. And that's all I'm going to say. Read more. Read Stephen King. Go see this movie. It's great. It's the best horror movie I've seen in a long time. It really is. So, I was prepared to be disappointed. But I wasn't. So, everyone go see it. Everyone is going to see it. Apparently, it's making record-breaking numbers right now. So, that's great. So, go see it. Have a great day, everybody. I'll talk to you later.